Hi, this is Alexcursus, the show where I will take a Gunpla or mobile suit figurine and see how authentic they are. This time I am looking at the Gframe Master Gundam. Now I will be looking at Saga, Style, Action, Gimmick, and Absence. Style, simple enough, is the external design proportions and other uses of design language the Gunpla decided to use to represent it in physical form. For Master Gundam here, it is a Gframe, a candy toy that is not scaled, but do have a lot of detailed sculptures to make them seem more realistic. So as you can see, it has a lot more details than you would see on other scale version of the Master Gundam. Like these details on the forearm, on the front skirt in particular. The legs are somewhat more detailed than you would expect on such a small Gunpla, but not surprising if we are looking at things like MG. The wings or coats, again very MG-esque, and I want to pay special attention to the heads because there are a lot more details than you will see for other versions of Master Gundam. I would also want to note the antenna, the collar, and the cockpit is in separate plastic, unlike most Gframe where we paint it, like the exhaust on the chest or the crotch piece. So in terms of style, of course this overall design is not being seen in the anime, and the Master Grade model for Master Gundam is actually quite simple compared to this. Yeah, even the belly have some sculptures on it. So yeah, with quite a lot of sculpt on the armor, pieces that rivals the Master Grade. Definitely going to rank high in style. It is not very anime in that the legs and arms and even the head, to be honest, are in purple, where in the anime the whole Master Gundam is more or less uniformly in one shade, very dark purple. But for the Gframe, they have the limbs and the head in a lighter shade of purple, where the chest, the shoulder armor, and then the skirt and part of the leg armor, like especially the knee armor, in pretty much black, which I think is, while that makes this Master Gundam less authentic than we would see in, say, the anime, it does make Master Gundam look realistic if mobile suits are real. So, like the other details, this color scheme gives it very good style points. Also, for style points, the extra detail, the different shades of armor does not take away Master Gundam's core design language, which is essentially the other version of the Master Asia. For people who do not know, the name Master Asia is taken from Kung Fu movies, where he is often depicted as a eunuch, a very fabulous eunuch, and sometimes it would be she, and she would be a martial artist that is so great that she is an equivalent of a witch. So the black and purple really complements this kind of design, and the headdress, and that's why Master Gundam has this fabulous headdress, because Master Asia in Kung Fu movies would often be a fabulous eunuch or a witch. These grills on the side of the collars are a Gframe original. They do restrict the movement of the Master Gundam's head, but I would talk about it in the style portion before we talk about action, because it is a Gframe original design, and while it makes less sense on a mobile fighter, sorry for referring to Master Gundam as a mobile suit for so long, it does not make sense for a mobile fighter like Master Gundam to have it. It is somewhat realistic if Master Gundam is a mobile suit, and it would have some extra intake or exhaust to perform many of its wild martial arts moves. So I would say for all the extra style points Gframe earned, these ducks would at best not get deducted harshly. So yes, for styles, the Gframe did a good job to realize Master Gundam as it would, but the extra realism helps in a lot of places, but not so much with these ducks. But I don't think it hurts the more realistic take. It does not hurt the more realistic take that Gframe is going for, but it's definitely going to make this Master Gundam less authentic. Now next is action. The head have some front and back that is on a ball joint. The fabulous headdress does make it harder for Master Gundam to move around, but it manages. We talk about how these ducks limits the head's movement, so that's that. It has double ab crunch as every Gframe. The waist is a separate armor piece, which to be honest, it does not hurt the movement for most Gframe, but for a mobile fighter it does help to sell that they are very flexible. For the skirts, the side skirts can move, front skirts can move independently. I do want to point out due to the shape of the side skirts, it does not move all the way, so it would limit how far Master Gundam can kick. But this is a pretty good kicking pose, so slightly less than perfect, at least for leg movement. The legs themselves can swivel up 90 degrees, can go to the side but limited by the side skirt. That's unfortunate. But the knee can bend all the way as all Gframe, so very wide range of movement. If we play around, Master Gundam only failed to kick its ass because of how long and fabulous its legs are, pretty much. Yeah, it can kick its own back. So that's a lot of leg movement. The foot is on a ball joint on an angle that have a pivot, so super wide range of movement. You can even go all the way back if you really want to, but we're not doing that here. The blades of the foot does limit its movement, but it is not realistic for a mobile fighter's foot to go too far forward, so no harm done. The shoulder have a double cup, so unlike most Gframe where there is a giant hole in the shoulder armor, Master Gundam have a separate piece that would cover it for the shoulder armor to pivot up. And like Gframes, it has a joint inside the torso and then one more before we go to the shoulder, so it have a double shoulder. But here the head and the shoulder armor and this duck really limited, so more to play with, I guess. But yeah, you can stretch Master Gundam's arm very far forward if you try, but the overall design limited. And for the elbow, it is only a single joint, but it is a very far forward single joint, so we got, what is it, that would be 90, that's 120-ish degrees on it. That's human enough in most cases. So yeah, very human-like movement that Gframe is excel at and works very well for Master Gundam. And its pose. Oh, also last but not least, the coat and wings. They can't deploy to become the coat, but they do have up and down movement, I guess, and then side to side from the backpack, and then the backpack does have rotation. So you can make the wings an extension of the Master Gundam's pose. Probably less like this where you expose the pins, but probably like this to further emphasize it is flying in the air. So action wise, given how mobile fighters supposed to have very human-like movement, and the Gframe doesn't really go beyond, I would say it have a perfect score in this category. I should keep Master Gundam in this pose for Gimmick. Now, for Gimmick, number one, you will notice the dark hand, which is represented by metallic purple. Dark hand is the equivalent of Shining Fingers or God Fingers for Master Gundam. If you do not know, Master Asia is Domon Kashin's master, his sensei, in the ways of the Undefeated East, or the School of Undefeated East. So much like God Gundam, who have a orange metallic hand, Master Gundam got a purple metallic for Dark Fingers, which is very apt. I think it's apt that Master Gundam get the same style as God Gundam. Now, would I like them in transparent like they do in HG or some other action figures? Probably, but metallic is not a bad alternative, so I wouldn't deduct any points for that. The open palm is a standard Gframe open palm, so it does not have the sharp tips that you see on the Dark Finger hand, but it is black, and the pose it is in, the open palm pose it is in, really sells it for Master Asia. So I guess, well, slightly less than perfect, as a lot of things that we have talked about. What's next on Gimmick? Oh yeah, the wings. The wings does not deploy. That is a big point deduction for Gimmick, although not too much due to the size and price point of Gframe. I guess I tally all of that at the end, but yeah, really big markdown for no deployment of the wings as coats. But yeah, excellent movement for the wings. So I guess Gimmick is mostly for plus points, where if there's a Gimmick pleasant, then I add points to it, which we should talk about. The beam cloth. Now the beam cloth, like many Gframe weapons, is not painted. That's why the Dark Finger have extra markup. But and it goes into a standard Gframe fist in two pieces, one for the lower half and then the other for the striking half. It is only in striking pose, so like this. You can't really have it in tucking, resting. Well, you can sort of put it in a pose like it is down, ready to be used as striking. So I guess it is a good sell and within reason for it to be presented. And like many Gframe FA, it have a separate stance, and the fixed frame can be used to make a base. Oh, and the other fist from the frame. So standard Gframe FA Gimmick, standard Gframe FA weaponry along with Dark Finger, and then just a massive backpack from Gframe. To be honest, not talking down to Gframe FA, but given how well the other side of the armor would cover the back of the thigh, yeah, it's not a big deal per se, but I guess it's a appreciated effort for it to be a Gframe FA. Now, absence. Absence would be talking about functions that you see in the games, books, manga, etc., which for mobile fighters, especially when we're talking about the Shuffle Alliance, is the lack of Mekel or super hyper mode, which is the whole mobile's returning goal, which is kind of ridiculous to ask in physical form. It is obvious, so I bring it up first. The other obvious is how the hands are options, but not well, hands in option themselves is not an absence, but absent in choice other than open palm and fist, because Master Asia does have many martial art moves. That is an absence. You might say, the open palm look fine enough for, like, I don't know, pinpoint strike or some in between moves, but absence, it's an absence, and keep it as is. Open palm works okay as karate chop, but it is an absence, and dark finger only exists in this open palm, not as fist, not as any gestures. So again, it is an absence, so to speak. Of another obvious absence that you will see in smaller Gunpla is the cockpit, which cannot open. Just bring that up because that is kind of the selling point of MG these days, or at least large scale Gunpla these days. So, or even RG. Some RG have open cockpit, some not really. They have a place allocated for cockpit, but not always. So yeah, cockpit does not open. That is an absence. Master Asia, along with Master Gundam, can perform a lot of rather fantastical martial art moves, and those effects are not included in this set, which again is an absence, but it's not a fair representation in physical form. Obviously, even though Master Gundam is a construction of the DG cells, there's no representation of that, nor can you see sometimes how the Master Gundam face mask will be open and have a mouth underneath, nor do you see the typical DC cell chewing tentacles, intestines slash running around. So yeah, quite a bit of absence, but most of them are not greatly missed. Let's put it that way. Most of them are not greatly missed. So what's the final tally? Style is very high. Obviously not faithful to the anime or the manga, but it is its own Gframe style. But you can tell it is Master Gundam, even without too focusing on it. So high point for style. And action, again, very high points because it's a Gframe, while the armor does block quite a few movement and there are some glaring openings. It does perform every action that it could do and perform every action that, well, Master Asia can do a lot of action, so I guess there's no overdoing for Master Gundam. So in a sense, the style points kind of save it in action. And then Gimmick, it have most physical gimmicks that you would need or want for Master Gundam, so that is high points as well. And finally, it does not miss crucial gimmicks of Master Gundam. Okay, fine, it missed one crucial gimmick, which is the wings turning into the capes, but that's a rather static pose, so I guess we will give it a higher mark. So style is A, action is S, gimmick is B, and then absent is, we give gimmick C and then absence B because not a lot missed, while there are some but not a lot. So overall it will be somewhere around A minus. This is the first episode of Alexcursus. Sorry if I'm very rambly. Oh, and I should have an overall verdict. The Gframe Master Gundam, while not completely faithful for what you would see in books and the anime, is a very good rendition within the Gframe line, and it does not cost more than standard Gframes, and it comes with enough gimmicks that outweighs the negative. The extra coloring pieces that I forgot to mention, the elbow armor is also in separate red, so as the front of the foot, which would typically be painted. So Master Gundam in Gframe FA have a lot more color separation in plastic than a lot other Gframe or Gframe FA before it. It is a good direction that I would like to see Gframe going. Ultimately, I would want Gframe to be somewhat better than the OFG or so-called non-graded Gundam models, but then not too much of a build like the HGs. So a alternative EG that instead of focusing on color accuracy, it is mostly accurate and have all the gimmicks of the mobile suit. That's why I think the Gframe FA Master Gundam deserve a A- for being authentic. Thanks for watching. See you next time.